Jesus Freaks?
What's up?
So today we're actually going to talk about parenting. We have 3 kids of our own. We have a 15-year-old, we have a 12-year-old, and we have a 2-year-old, which you've already met. So today we're talking about how we handle being Jesus Freak parents.
Yeah, well, it started. We just thought it was just going to be 2, and then we got surprised with the 3rd blessing. And now we're like, gosh, like the age difference, is crazy. So we're thinking about another baby, but we're not sure. Just so that's out there.
I love being a dad. Like, it's one thing that I think I'm actually good at in this world that I don't feel like I have to try very hard at. It's like all the love that I have for my kids just comes naturally. Like, I don't have to force myself to really do anything other than not get angry. Me naturally, like, I've grown up quite the angry individual. Had a little bit of a rough upbringing myself. So let's start there. Like we kind of touched base on in the last podcast we were talking about with the whole New Age thing and growing up in church. So I grew up Southern Baptist. I was raised by my grandparents who adopted me from a young age. My mom was raped by a family member and kind of lost her mind a little bit. And if you've ever seen Black Snake Moan with Christina Ricci, I wouldn't recommend watching it now because, like, especially as a Jesus freak, you probably shouldn't be watching that kind of stuff. But Christina Ricci, her character was raped by her father as a child, sensitive content. And she developed this psychosis where she had to engage in those acts, for lack of a better term, let's call it lovemaking. It's a better term when it's actually used in the context of lovemaking, but to make the pain go away because she would start feeling pain in her nether regions and she had to do it. So I think my mom kind of had a similar thing going on where she would go out like night after night and she would leave me and my sister to kind of fend for ourselves. So we basically had a really rough start, me and my siblings. My older brother was like already living with my grandparents and it was just me and my sister. And when they adopted me, my sister said, no, you either take both of us, we're a package deal. You either take both of us or none of us. Because my sister was giving me baths. My sister was changing my diaper. My sister was feeding me, was making my bottle. And she was only 12 years old. So, there's that. If anybody's my real mom, it's my big sister. But so I was adopted by them. And I had a dirtbag uncle who liked to put his hands on me all the time. He hated me for some reason. I don't know why. I have a feeling I know why, but that's another story for another time. But the man put his hands on me every day, whether I was good or bad. And I eventually ran away from home. And I would couch surf. I'd live in a punk house, like you saw in the last episode. And then when I met Megan, we had been together for a little while, and then she got pregnant with our first child, Aubrey. And I was kind of this, like, I don't really care what happens to me type person. Like, I really honestly was like wishing a car would hit me, that type of person. And when I found out that she was pregnant with Aubrey, it was like something changed in me. Something told me I need to start working towards getting better. Now, I had done irreparable damage to myself to the point. Yeah, I'll tell my portion, and then when you get back, like, we can. So I was already doing like irreparable damage to myself. Like, I was engaged in debauchery of many, many different things. Stuff I shouldn't have been doing, fighting, drinking a lot at parties, just a lot of crazy stuff. And by the time, like, I heard that my first child was going to be born, I was like, okay, I got to start working on myself. it didn't really hit me until me and Megan split up for about 2 years that I finally realized that I wasn't a failure, that I had created two beautiful children. At the time, it was just Aubrey and Emery. Emery was born next. And I realized that my life is incomplete without these three people. Like, I can't, there's nothing that brings me happiness other than being near them. So I fought really, really hard to get back together with Megan. And then, from then on out, it was just like, what's in their best interest? What can we do to make their lives better? I may have struggled, me and Megan, as far as like keeping the lights on. I used to work multiple jobs. She used to work multiple jobs. We did everything we could to make sure our kids never did without. Now that doesn't necessarily mean with like nice shoes and like expensive clothes, expensive shoes, expensive stuff, but we always made sure they had what they needed. And even like stuff that they didn't need. Like we got my son an Xbox, at a certain age, and he loved playing like Minecraft and stuff like that. He still loves playing Minecraft. He's a Twitch streamer called Distorted Pieces. You should go check him out. He's probably streaming right now. He plays a lot of Minecraft, and he's probably going to start doing like social commentary or like reactions to like music and stuff. The kid's really, really good. He's also a guitarist. He plays the drums. He plays keyboard. He screams. He's got his own metal project going on right now. It's like new metal. It's really, really cool. But to imagine, and he's got a really great work ethic. Like, very, very proud of my kids. Let's start with Aubrey real quick. So he's 15, right? And normal 15-year-old stuff, like, what is this kid dealing with internally, is like, he went through his little phase of like destruction, where he was doing like some bad stuff. But then when I got delivered in New Mexico, I went through deliverance. He said he saw the Holy Spirit, and that boy has modeled his life to the point of, I'm going to do everything I can to live the life that I think I should. He has a really crazy strong work ethic to where the boy like busts his butt in anything he does. He's extremely dedicated to whatever he's focused on, whether it be streaming, YouTube, music. This kid's insane. And I helped make him. I helped mold him into that. There is a sense of joy that comes with that and being a dad of, wow, I didn't mess up with you. Awesome. It could have gone really, really bad. It could have gone really, really bad. And I think not having a father in your life could be detrimental to a child. Having that masculine guidance there, because, you need both the masculine and the feminine. There's a lot of men out there who really don't want to be a part of their child's lives. And I don't think they realize how detrimental that is to the child. It's like, oh, well, I choose drugs and girls and partying and over actually being a dad, which being a dad gives you purpose. There's a sense of joy that comes with it. I don't think I could do anything else with my life worth meaning other than being a dad. Jesus provides me with the opportunity to speak to people, but these are literally beings that I helped create, that I'm helping mold, with God's guidance. And that's the crazy thing is, like, one false move, it could all go in a different direction. So it's like you have to be careful what you say. You have to be careful what you do, because they absorb everything you do, everything like a sponge. Words, actions, how you treat people, how you react around them to certain people, like loved ones, is depending on how they're going to act, because they're going to pick up on that, whether you like it or not. So you have to really be careful about how you act around other people, or treat other people, and treat those closest to you, because your kids are going to pick that up. Like I say, racism is learned, in the household, where people are like, oh, I can't stand those, insert, fill the blank. They learn that from their parents, making little comments like that. Or, like misogyny, you've got some dads that, go to the strip club while their wife is at home feeding the family. that's also detrimental to the family unit and, how people are going to. What's going on? Why is the camera moving? Nana. Nana. Nana, move. The camera was like swaying back and forth. Emmy, can you come in here and fix the camera? Sorry, I need my daughter's assistance. But moving on to my second child, Emery. Emery is awesome. She is my little pop punk princess. She has her hair done like Joan Jett, and she has the coolest style. She also is a YouTuber who goes by the name Emmy. What's your actual user handle? At Emmy495. She does like clown cosplay. She does My Little Pony cosplay. She does My Hero Academia cosplay. She's just an awesome makeup artist. We always say she should be on that. What's that show? Face Off? We always say she should be on that show Face Off because it's really cool. I think like one year me and Megan were talking about getting her like movie makeup, like silicone and latex and stuff like that to see what she could really do. I think that would be sick. I like Tom Savini is like the legend in like horror movie makeup. And we always said like she should get like a scholarship to Tom Savini's Creature Academy or Clown College. She'd be the first Christian goth clown. That'd be cool. But anyways, so that's the cool thing about my kids is and she paints. She does art. You want to go pick one of your favorite paintings real quick and I'll Okay, so she gets super excited about this, and it makes me and her mom very excited because we love seeing our kids full of passion, right? The only thing is, she's just like me. Okay, so she loves pop punk music, right? So this is her like her painting of MCR's. It was Danger Days is there. Oh, it's just Danger Days, but it looks like, guys, so we had some technical difficulties while I was showing off Emery's painting. It fell on top of the laptop and caused the recording software to completely shut down. So what I was talking about was I find a lot of joy in the fact that my kids are creative, that my children have creative outlets that they look towards. They're very talented in multiple things. They're very passionate about multiple things. And I feel like God has blessed me with children that are able to find joy in things instead of just looking at the dread in life and looking at the horrible things in the world and being affected by those things. Like me and Megan were, when we were kids, there was a lot of bad stuff. And it was like all we had to focus. That's all we could really focus on because that's all there really was there was a lot of negative when we were kids, and we definitely didn't want to be like that. We definitely wanted to lift our kids up and embrace their abilities. But I'm telling you, y'all, when we first started, it was rough. We literally lived off potatoes like the whole time she was pregnant. You wanna talk about some stuff? So I talked about Aubrey and I talked about Emery. I want to finish talking about Brenna.
Hi, Bren. Yeah, but we did. Did you just pull the microphone for me? Okay, thank you. We did. We lived off of potatoes when I was pregnant with Aubrey, our first. And that was just really rough. We were just like super, super like poor, and we just couldn't really afford a lot. We were super young. And I remember like we couldn't even get food stamps at the time because the lady at the DHR, I guess is what you call it, the lady at the DHR office, she just didn't approve us because she said that I didn't turn in all of the proper paperwork, which I knew that I did. And she was extremely rude from the beginning. And we kind of had a feeling that she wasn't going to approve the case. So we just went without food stamps, and, we made had our little minimum wage jobs, and it was extremely hard. I mean, looking back on it, I don't even know how we did it at times. But we made it through that. We grew through that. And then we had Emory. And then a couple years after that, I think when Emory was 2, that's when we split up for 2 years. So we got back together when she was 4. And now, years later, we have Brenna Astrid. And she is just the light of our lives. She's our little firecracker, born 2 days after the 4th of July, 2022.
Very, very fitting nickname for this baby is a little firecracker because she is definitely that. This little baby is very intelligent and very crazy. She fits right in with the Kosen clan. We are very, very blessed to have children like this. And I wouldn't mind another boy just to...
But I've been having some severe problems with my back, so I don't even think it's a good idea for me to like actually carry another child. Adoption would be something that would be great to do, but I don't really know like what's required in each state to adopt kids, and I don't think we would approve. But
well, there's so many kids out there that need love, and like that was kind of the whole point of what I was saying. You know, is I was very, very grateful to my grandparents for taking me in and wanting to raise me. I think they were a bit too old to do it because they couldn't really handle me, and you know, I was very rebellious when I was especially a teenager. You know, getting the crap kicked out of you every day by a grown man when you're a little boy is going to make you a little bitter. But I pray for that man, you know, and yeah, maybe I have trouble forgiving him, and I still have trouble forgiving him because I wouldn't be making comments like that, you know, if I did forgive him. But I'm trying. I'm trying very, very hard. It's a very hard thing, forgiveness, you know, especially with an adult who put their hands on you, you know, and it's like what my mom dealt with, you know, like losing her mind over something as traumatic as, you know, SA. It's something that you look at your kids and you're like, if anybody ever hurts you, you know, we say some stuff we shouldn't say whenever we think about those moments. 'Cause I don't know how I would react in that moment. I would hope that Jesus won, you know, that Jesus won my heart in that moment, and the devil like lost horribly, because I really, really hope that I'm able to handle those emotions. But it's like these kids literally mean everything to me. Like Jesus comes first, but everything else comes second because of the fact that my kids are, other than Jesus, the most important thing in my life. And the only thing in this world other than my wife and kids, I don't really care about anything else. It's like they are my main focus. Like, for instance, we're going to go on a date this next Sunday. We've kind of been neglecting our own relationship, you know, because it's been about survival since day one. And it gets really, really hard. It gets really, really difficult, you know, just focusing on how am I going to eat? How am I going to feed my kids? Like, we would literally not eat and let them eat, you know? There've literally been times where we're like, let them have it. You know, moments like that, it's very heartbreaking. Because you look at your kids and you're like, you're way more important than me. Like, I'm nothing compared to what you deserve.
well, I mean, everybody goes through hard times, but it hasn't always been that bad. I mean, there's been good times and there's been times where, of course, we felt like we've had more than we've had in the past, or there's also, like, you know, the bad times when you feel like you don't have enough. Um, but that's just the way that, yeah, it's seasons, and it's the way that the world has it set up to be, I guess. But I mean, the kids are total blessing, and they're, you know, I don't know what I would do without them. I really don't. That's that's something to think about, you know.
It's a very hard thing to imagine. Like, what would life be like if we never had Aubrey? And it's sad to say, like, I feel like Aubrey was the glue that bound you and me together, because we were both very, very suicidal teenagers. I was a scumbag. I mean, I always make the joke I'm a scumbag trying to do better, or I'm a scumbag in recovery. But the fact of the matter is, I was not something to behold back then, not at all. I didn't think very highly of myself. I thought I was invincible. And if something was going to kill me, it just would. So I did as much debaucherous crap as I possibly could, trying to make somebody mad. And I would get into fights with people, just based on the fact I wanted to feel alive. I honestly, this is the most emo kid thing I could ever say, but I honestly felt like I was like dead inside. Like I had no purpose in life. There was nothing that I really wanted out of life other than destruction. I was very self-destructive. Even Megan coming into my life being a blessing, like I tried to destroy that relationship. Like I tried to destroy it, but it's like at the same time I was still holding on to her, because I was like, the good part of me, the innocent part, was like, I love this woman, but the bad part, the dark part was like, I don't deserve her, so I'm going to do as much as I can to try and get her as far away from me as possible. God wasn't having it. Not at all. Because Aubrey was conceived, and we chose to not go with adoption. We chose, we're going to do it. We're going to raise him. Best decision we could have ever made. In my opinion, at least, this is the best possible decision we could have ever made as human beings, because she makes me better. She makes me want to be better. Even if I'm not better in that moment, like, she makes me reach a new level. Like, I've made massive strides. I am not who I once was. Am I completely good? Absolutely not. But I'm getting better. That's why I say scumbag in recovery is I'm getting there. I'm taking steps, and it's working. I'm more patient. I feel like I have more wisdom. I always pray. Every time I pray, I add in, Lord, make me a better leader. Make me a better father. Make me a better husband. Teach me patience and give me the wisdom and knowledge to do what you need me to do. He answers, y'all. I promise you, everything in life I look at, I'm like, this is a lesson. This is something I meant to learn from this. Like, for instance, like I got in trouble at work. Well, I didn't really get in trouble because, like, it was one of those situations where I could have gotten angry, and I chose to do the opposite. We have an open kitchen at my job at the restaurant that I work at, and we have soups that the servers have to get. And some soup had made it to this customer's table cold. Or not cold, but like lukewarm. And they sent it back saying it wasn't hot. So I heated it up, and I said, hey, we need to make sure it's hot. Well, when he came back and I gave him a new soup, I was like, okay, you see the steam? That's definitely hot. And they thought that I was bashing them. So the dad starts arguing and getting upset. And I didn't engage. I went to the back and I told my chef, hey, this is what's going on. He had my back. They emailed corporate wanting my head. Well, everybody stuck up for me. He said, that's not how it happened. That's not how it went down. That's not what Dwight said. That's not how Dwight acted. And I came out on top. Everybody had my back. The old me would have been like, listen, old man, you blah, 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 blah. You can go blah, 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 blah. I'm going to blah, 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 blah. It was just one of those things. Like, I would have flown off the deep end. Even Megan, like, she told me a story. Hold on. Tell them the story about when you worked at Quiznos. You know what I'm talking about?
I was just a kid back then, but that was like I don't remember if it was my first job, That's crazy. I don't even remember like my first.
I remember everything you tell me.
But anyways, it was one of my first jobs if it wasn't my first. But anyways, yeah, it was just a crazy girl that worked there that always came in like hungover, and she was extremely rude to me, and I can't remember exactly what she said. Do you know what I said? What she said? Since you said you remember everything.
You told me that you had gotten like fired from that job.
Yeah, just because like I flipped the mop bucket and like flipped it and water
And the
went
trash
everywhere,
cans.
dirty water went everywhere,
You
and the
flipped-
trash
you flipped the
cans
trash
because
cans over.
the girl that came in hungover all the time was extremely rude to me. And I was like, look, I've had it with you talking to me that way, and I did that, and then that job was over. But that's basically what happened.
But that's my whole point with growth. Okay? Like, you see what she said? I don't know. Sometimes I think you might actually do something like that. But
Do what?
I think you have more self-control than you did back then. I definitely think you have more self-control than you did back then.
Oh yeah, probably. Yeah, probably.
Because the simple fact that, when we grow with wisdom. There are some people you can tell it's like, oh, bro, you didn't grow up at all. Like, you were definitely sheltered. Like, mommy and daddy definitely, like, told you what you wanted to hear all the time. Was not the case with us. We didn't have anybody telling us what we wanted to do. Her stepdad was pretty strict, too. Like, why don't you talk about, like, what he used to do if you guys didn't do the dishes right or something? Like, this is actually, like, dang.
We would just have to redo them, put them back in the sink, and do them again. Even if they were already clean, we would have to do them again.
It's like scrubbing already clean plate just because like one dish was dirty. He made you like rewash all of them.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's like making you guys wake up early in the morning on a weekend to clean the bathroom.
Yeah.
It's like to some people they're like, what? That's called parenting. It's like, yeah, like to an extent, like we do the same things with our kids. Our kids have chores. And it's not because, they don't want to do anything. It's because it teaches them responsibility. For instance, we have dogs. My kids wanted dogs. I have one dog. I have a dog. Well, he's got some type of strap. So I have a dog. My son has a dog. My daughter has a dog. My wife has a dog. So my 12-year-old's job is to wake up when I wake up, go feed the dogs. I even told her, go take a shower to help you wake up, but you don't need to sleep all day because our kids are homeschooled. So I said, when I wake up, you wake up. I'm like, all right, let's go take care of the dogs. And she'll try to lay in bed, and I'll be like, I will pester that girl. I yank the covers off of her. I'll flip the bed over. Like I had my grandfather was an Army Ranger, okay? He did not put up with nonsense when I was a kid. So part of that was kind of instilled in me where it's like, no, you're going to do it the way I told you to do it or you're going to do it over again. And my daughter is just like me and likes to be sassy. She talks back all the time, and she gets in a lot of trouble for talking to her mother a certain way, which I'm hoping she'll grow out of. But, it's like we don't pull any punches with her. There's actually like things. I'm not trying to hog the microphone.
Oh, it's okay. The baby is constantly asking me to hand her stuff, and I'm constantly listening and trying to see what she wants.
So there's a lot of stuff in the Bible that actually talks about being a parent. One in particular is Proverbs 22:6. Train up a child in the way he should go. Even when he is old, he will not depart from it. This is a lot of stuff I learned as a kid, I still use today. Like, she just spilled water. At least it's not going towards the laptop. It's just going onto the floor. But, I remember my dad telling me things like little proverbs here and there. Like he'd tell me things. I'm blanking on a lot of them right now. I don't know why I can't remember any of them. But he was a great dad. even though like I didn't give him the credit he deserved, and I ran away from home, and like I put myself in a lot of these positions that I'm like I had a rough life. I had a rough life by choice. Yeah, I had to get away from that jerk who was always putting his hands on me, but at the same time, like I didn't make it easy on myself. I was a rebellious kid. So Psalm 127, chapter 3 through 5. Behold, children are a heritage from the Lord, the fruit of the womb a reward. Like arrows in the hand of a warrior are the children of one's youth. Blessed is the man who fills his quiver with them. He shall not be put to shame when he speaks with his enemies in the gate. What exactly does that mean? I'm a little confused on this one. I'm not going to lie. And yet the husband and wife must do something, bringing their children into the world and raising them to be faithful members of God's people. Here the stress falls on the children of one's youth, now grown up and standing with their father when he speaks with his enemies at the gate. Okay, so basically, your children will always have your back. I get that. Here's Ephesians 6, 1 through 4. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and your mother. This is the first commandment with a promise, that it may go well with you and that you may live long in the land. Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in discipline and instruction of the Lord. That is one thing I feel like a lot of parents struggle with. What do you think? Yeah. This part right here. Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger.
But bring them up in the discipline. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that 100%. That you should...
It says definitely bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord.
Yeah, that they should follow the Lord, follow Jesus' teachings. Absolutely.
Discipline. Kids need discipline growing up.
Right.
She's not very talkative today, guys. I'm sorry.
No, the baby should have been.
She's very, very.
I'm a busy mom, and it's very hard because the times that we pick to do this. I'm very sorry.
Sometimes we try to give her a nap before we do this, and then she wakes up in the middle of us doing it. So it's like, it makes it way, 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 way more difficult. But, we agree with that because sometimes, it's not easy, or it's very easy to lose your temper on your kids and be like, why did you do that? But sometimes we have to catch ourselves and be like, hey, this is a big one I took away from my dad. He would always send me to my room, and the room wasn't the punishment. I was about to get my butt spanked. I got spanked with the belt by my grandfather. This man was very strong and did not hold back. I mean, he wasn't trying to kill me, but it hurt. It hurt. It did not feel good. So what he would do was he would make me wait in my room. Sometimes I would have to wait like a couple hours before he came in. And he was as calm as a cucumber. Last time I saw him, before I got spanked, the man was fuming angry. He was throwing stuff around in the yard. He's like, go to your room. So I went and I waited. 2 hours later, he comes in the room. I had made him so mad, it took him 2 hours to calm down. Calm as a cucumber. Like, chill. Just no anger at all in his face. No stress. And did the deed and was like, do you know why I spanked you? Yes, sir. All right. Learn from your mistakes. And he would walk out. Man never spanked me out of anger. Not once did the man ever raise his hand to me out of anger. And that was one thing that I realized is that I had to, and I think it's something I still struggle with. I have to have a calm, cool head whenever I talk to my kids. Otherwise, all they're going to think is, you hate me. You know what I'm saying?
I struggle with it, especially with our 12-year-old Emery. I mean, especially because she is homeschooled, and I have a 2-year-old. She just turned 2, so I know that that contributes to it. Like just the struggle with homeschooling my 12-year-old daughter and trying to get her to stay on track and just to do her assignments without arguing and fussing at me. And then on top of that, getting up at a decent time in the morning and sticking to a certain schedule, like getting up at a certain time and getting her chores and then her school done. That is like a struggle for me almost every single day. And I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. I hope it does. But I struggle with that as a parent. Um, I feel like, in a way, it's a good thing to have children, younger. I'm not saying like you should have children when you're like in your teens or anything, but I think it's a good thing in a way to have children younger. Um, but at the same time, like when they get older, like our older kids are, we have a 15-year-old and a 12-year-old. It's extremely hard uh to raise them. Because we're only 19 years older than our son, and I'm about 22 years older than my daughter, so it's like I feel like if I would have had them when I was more mature, that it would be a little bit easier on me when they're in their teen years. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I mean, they don't come with an instruction manual. You can watch other people raise their kids all you want, but every child is different. So you have to adapt to their wants and their needs as they grow. It's not something that you're just like, hey, I'm going to do it this way. It doesn't always work out that way. Because I tried to spank my kids when they were younger. It just made things worse. So I had to change my tactics. I'm like, okay, well, what do they enjoy? All right, my son enjoys that Xbox. I'm going to take his Xbox away when he misbehaves. And then he would correct himself. So there's an actual verse in the Bible that it says, spare the rod, spoil the child. I want to find that exact verse. I think it's Proverbs. It's Proverbs 22:15. But what it says is foolishness is bound up in the heart of a boy, but the rod of discipline will remove it far from him. So spare the rod, spoil the child, but it doesn't necessarily mean if you don't spank your kids, you're going to spoil them. It means discipline. Discipline your children. Don't just let them walk all over you. Don't let them do whatever they want. I know you love them, but if you love them, you want them to be decent people. You have to teach them right from wrong. Discipline does that. Like, I told you not to eat that cookie out of the cookie jar. I told you to wait until after dinner. You didn't wait. Here's your punishment. There are consequences for your actions. That is what discipline teaches kids. There is a consequence for your actions. For every action, there is an equal or opposing reaction. That's science. So if you don't want to use the Bible, which I don't know why you're watching this podcast if you don't believe in the Bible, but hey, we welcome you anyways. But if you don't want to use that, there is a science behind it. So you have to teach your kids how to be good people. And nobody's inherently good. And even you could do the best you can to raise a kid, never raise a hand to them, discipline them, give them chores and everything, and they still might end up being Ted Bundy. But the point is to do your best.
Yeah, I'm trying every day. Like I said, it's a struggle. I mean, just trying to get a teenager to just sit down and do what you say. Like, for instance, when like I want them to learn a history lesson or something like that, which I know some of that, like, I get that some of it might not be true. Some of it is. I get all that. But it's like because of that, like my kids, they don't want to learn that stuff. They don't want to learn certain things that they don't feel like they're ever going to need. So that's just been one of my biggest struggles with parenting is homeschooling them and stuff like that, because we can do an entirely different video on bullies and stuff like that our son had major issues in elementary school with bullies And
Goodness, a
when
little
something
voltage.
like that happens to your child, it really breaks your heart. And especially when other adults don't believe your child and you know that your child is telling the truth because you know your child. And just stuff like that. So I never planned on homeschooling. Um, at one point, I did want to go to school to be a teacher. I did go and I took some classes, and I could finish that if I wanted to, but I really am not interested after COVID and everything. And some of the things that they teach in public schools, which we'll also get into that later. But it's like, I just, I never planned on homeschooling my kids. And it was all just completely new to me. So I feel like, and trying to keep them motivated, all of it is a challenge, but it's all worth it because being a parent is worth it. And it's
What are you
no
standing
matter
on?
how hard it is or how hard it gets, it's always going to be like the best thing that's ever happened to me. So
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they don't come with an instruction manual. It's very, very hard to be a parent. It's very hard to, especially, that's why I always pray to God for patience. Like, God, give me patience. God, teach me patience. It's because they got a side by side. That is really cool. I love side by sides. I think I like them better than four wheelers. But it's very difficult, and especially when you have an unruly child. She takes after me a lot. I mean, a lot. And it's very difficult, but you have to learn how to talk to Emery. And with Emery, it's like the one way you talk to her is through happiness and joy. She doesn't react well to being yelled at. She doesn't react well to negative criticism. It actually has the opposite effect on her. She gets more unruly. She gets more rebellious. The best way to handle that is to converse with her and explain it to her. And she'll talk back, but you have to teach her, like, I am your parent, and I put everything, like, I put you above everything. You and your siblings. The least you could do is respect me, That's one thing that I feel like we deal with a lot is reminding them, hey, we do this because we care. We're not, like, I don't ever tell my kids this, but cover her ears real quick. I could have given them up for adoption, but I loved them and I wanted to raise them. So I took the time, I took the effort. I work my butt off to support them. I work I make sure they never do without. I buy them things just on a whim. Do I think they need to bow down and kiss my feet for that? No, but respect is one thing. Not talking back, not raising their voice, not calling names, doing what we ask them to do. Because the thing is, we're not going to ask them to do anything when we don't do ourselves. And we teach them how to do basic things, which I feel like a lot of kids don't know how to do. There's a lot of kids out there who don't know how to wash dishes.
well, me as a mom, I would never give them up for adoption. I would never give them up for adoption.
I covered her ears for a reason. She understands everything we say.
Well, we wouldn't do that.
No, we wouldn't do that. But the fact of the matter is, there are crappy people out there. Now, there are some occasions where it's like this one woman who gave her child up for adoption because her family, her mom and her dad were on drugs, and she also kind of had a drug problem, and she gave her child up for adoption because she didn't want her child to live that kind of life.
Well, I love that, like, a lot of hospitals have a system in place, a system in place in hospitals where, oh no, sorry, the baby. Did she mess it up?
No, you're good.
Okay. Sorry. A lot of hospitals have a system in place where you can bring a baby and drop it off and walk away. And I think that's awesome. And I think that if somebody feels like they need to do that, that is the best thing to do. That is way better than having an abortion. having the baby, giving the baby life, and dropping it off at a hospital, even after you've already taken the baby home, or maybe you had a home birth or something and you can't take care of the baby, but you love the baby enough to give it life and give it a chance. I think that's awesome. So there's nothing wrong with adoption. It's better than abortion for sure. But I feel like a lot of there's been a lot of really awesome people that have adopted children, and given the kids just an awesome life. There's nothing wrong with it. And but I would never be able to do that. I feel like I'm the type that I love this baby so much that I want to fight for the baby and make sure that I can take care of the baby and everything. So adoption wasn't for us with our kids, even though we had our son super young. Well, I guess some people would say, well,
figured it out.
I was 18 when I was pregnant with my son, and then I had just turned 19 when I had him. So he was born then, and it was super hard, but we made it work. So
we figured it out.
Either way, there is nothing wrong with adoption, though, in my opinion. I know you're not saying there's anything wrong with it.
No, that's one thing that I will never budge on, is abortion is murder. Abortion is the sacrifice of children to the demon Malak, which, if you don't know who Malak is, look him up. There's actually a scene in the movie Nefarious where Nefarious explains how it is ritualistic sacrifice to the devil and demons. The archdemon Malak, and what was it, Canaan? They created a bronze statue of him. They would light fires up underneath it and throw babies onto the bronze statue. And when they would wince, they would fall off and fall into the pit. And they would play drums so loud that it would drown out the baby's crying. There's no crying heard in the womb. Just so you know. And they changed priest robes for scrubs. It's disgusting. It's vile. It is murder. That is one thing I will not budge on. It is the murder of God's most precious gift to the world, which is children. Children should be protected. Children should be nurtured. Children should be taught, raised, not killed. Who do you think you are, taking an innocent life that has had no chance to succeed, that could do great things in the world, and you decided to erase it from existence? I pray for you. I pray for you people who unapologetically murder children. Just so you know, and I have no apologies for saying this, no sin goes without punishment.
Yeah, I agree. And I just feel like abortion, and this isn't to down anyone in particular or anything. That's how we feel, and we can't back down from what we believe, that if you do the deed, you should, take on the responsibility that comes with it. Because I think I said this in another video before, but sex is never casual. It can't just be casual. You have too many risks of getting different diseases and things like HIV and stuff. And I know that in the state that we're in, I believe it's 1 in 6 people have HIV. I'm pretty sure that's correct. All of that stuff can be found online. So I'm pretty sure that's correct, though. It's 1 in 6 have HIV in the state of Alabama, which is where we live. So, and I know that in some states it's far, far worse than that. So anytime you engage in something like that, you have a risk of catching some type of disease like that or giving it to someone else. And not only that, but pregnancy is another risk. And then that's when things like abortion come into play and stuff like that. And that's all I'm saying is anytime that you have sex, you are taking on the responsibilities that come with it, because things can come diseases, pregnancy, different things like that. So sex can never truly really just be a casual thing. Even if you're just doing it with one person all the time, it's like why are you guys just having casual sex? You might as well just be in a relationship at that point, because if you're only seeing that one person, I mean, stuff like that just doesn't really make sense to me.
I think the next episode we talk about, I really want to touch base on like a godly relationship between a husband and wife. I think that would be really nice. Pastor Vlad actually talks about this a lot. But like I said, no sin goes unpunished. You know? I feel like that's why STDs exist.
Children are a responsibility. That's what I'm trying to say. They're a responsibility that comes with having sex. It's a possibility. Pregnancy is a possibility, even if you use the condoms or whatever.
Now, I know a lot of people would say, well, what about SA and grape? Well, as sad as that may be, I feel like that's a tough decision to make.
Here's the thing with grape. And I know everyone has been through, some people have been through things, and this is in no way to shame anyone. In no way. And I believe that God can forgive people for things like that if they were raped and they had had an abortion. I believe it's possible. And if you're truly sorry and you're truly remorseful. But here's on my take on it. I believe that the baby is already a part of you. Yeah, it's a part of you, and it's a part of the person who raped you. But that baby's still a part of you at the end of the day. So it's kind of like killing yourself in a way if you killed the baby, because the baby is a part of you. Does that make any sense?
And our God is a God of forgiveness. But harming a child is the one thing that I feel like angers God the most. A lot of stuff makes God angry, but I think harming the purest form of his creation, the most innocent form of his creation that still exists, and butchering it and torturing it, whether it's through SA or whether it's through abortion, murder, that's tough. I don't know God's will on that. God said he forgives if you're truly apologetic because he sees into your heart. I'm not God.
And again, this is not to make anyone feel bad or anything, but another thing is if you were raped, right? If something horrible like that happened, and that is horrible, and that's a horrible thing to go through, and nobody should judge for that. I completely understand that. I'm just giving my opinion if something like that happened. If something like that happened, you would have to I'm trying to figure out how to put this into words. You just have to realize that you are killing a part of yourself. Somehow I lost track of exactly what I was trying to get across, but yeah, you are killing a part of yourself. And it says in the Bible not to kill yourself. So I believe that they kind of that kind of coincides. You know. Also, if you were raped, it's like maybe if you knew that something horrible like that happened to you, maybe it would be a good idea to go to the clinic or go see your doctor as soon as possible. I don't believe that you should have the A word, but I believe that if you are going to, maybe you should have it as soon as possible and not like when the baby's farther along, when it becomes straight up cruel. Like maybe, oh my goodness, my baby just fell. I'm so sorry. She likes to jump around a lot. But yeah, I mean, and
She
that, like I
slid
said,
down. I saw it.
that's not to judge anyone in particular or anything. If anyone's been through that, it's not my place to judge. But that, in my opinion, if you know that that happened to you, why not just go ahead and go and get everything checked out, get yourself, in order, make sure that you don't have an STD from something horrible that happened to you, make sure that you're not pregnant, and if you are pregnant, then you need to figure out where you're going to go from there. And if you're past, like, I'd say 5 or 6 weeks first pregnant, then you should definitely not have an abortion, in my opinion. I believe it becomes cruel at a certain point, especially, I think it's when you're at the 12-week mark. 12 weeks along, the baby can hear you. The baby is sucking its thumb. The baby is starting to form in the womb, and it's like, it just seems kind of cruel. I mean, it is cruel,
I saw a really, really dark video once about there was a politician trying to legalize post-term abortion after the baby's born. What? That's absolutely, abortion's already insane. You can't hide it at that point. You can't sugarcoat it and be like, well, it's not a human. It's born. What's your excuse? But moments like that, it's traumatic, and I understand it's really hard to think about, but it's the right thing to think about. Like there's another life forming inside of you. If you can't handle raising it, I'm not condoning that either, but it would be better to just go get some plan B and make sure that, we just eliminate the egg before the egg becomes a fetus,
That's not something I would ever do, but that, like I said, that's way better than having a late-term abortion or a mid-term abortion or anything like that. Getting it, I don't believe in abortion at all. In my opinion, it's never truly okay to have an abortion, even early on, but having one early on before you're 8 weeks pregnant or 6 weeks pregnant is way better than later on.
You want to go take care of that real quick? All right, we're going to wrap this up, though, but thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope, and we want to open up the dialogue to have conversations. If you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple Music, please leave a comment. There should be a poll down there for you to check out. Vote. Let's get some opinions going. Like whether you're a Christian, agnostic, atheist, pagan, Jewish, Islam. Like I want to know, what is your opinion about abortion, and do you think people should just step up and be parents, especially men? Guys, I'm talking to you right now. I'm going to take a quick few minutes to talk to you guys. Guys, step up. Be a real man. Be a father to your children. Children need a father. Like what Megan was saying about, like, you did the deed, you need to step up. Guys, you did the deed, you need to step up. Be a dad. Love is an action. Even if you didn't love this woman that you had a baby with, try. At least try. Don't be fooled by, society that tries to tell you, like, oh, you could co-parent, without being married. It's like, no, try to do the right thing. Find something to love about this person. Bring some romance in. I've known plenty of people who've done it. I've known plenty of people who've gotten women pregnant, and it was a one-night stand, and they ended up falling in love with that woman after the baby was born. And they got married, and they ended up living a happy life and are still married to this day. Okay? It does happen. Love is not some magical, mystical thing. Love is an action. God showed us his love by coming down here and sacrificing himself for our sins. Love was an action. Love is still an action. Treat your spouse with romance. Get married. Have beautiful babies and have the most absolute wonderful time raising them, because it's not all easy, but the awesome parts are truly incredibly awesome. But stay freaky. We'll see you guys next week.